You can eat only once a day and still train your body to chase food for the next 12 hours. That sounds backward, almost unfair, but your body isn't judging the meal by your effort, your willpower, or how long you waited. It is reading a chemical signal, and that signal is insulin. Maybe you've tried eating less often because you wanted control. You expected fewer meals to mean fewer cravings, steadier energy, and maybe a calmer waistline. But instead, you eat your one big meal and later feel sleepy, foggy, restless, or strangely hungry again. That's when the whole plan starts to feel like a trick your metabolism refuses to understand. But here's where it gets interesting. The problem may not be that one meal is wrong. The problem may be that the one meal is entering your body in the wrong way, at the wrong time, after the wrong kind of fast. And when that happens, insulin doesn't gently guide nutrients. It comes in like an emergency response team. Inside your bloodstream, glucose is quick-burning fuel. A little is useful, but too much floating around at once becomes a problem your body has to solve immediately. So your pancreas releases insulin to move that fuel into cells, refill storage, and protect the blood. The sharper the glucose wave, the louder the insulin signal has to become. This is the hidden mechanism most people never see. A meal can be healthy and still hit your bloodstream too fast. A fast can be clean on paper and still be filled with stress, caffeine, dehydration, and cortisol-driven glucose release. And when those signals stack together, your body may arrive at dinner already tense before the first bite even lands. So one meal can become two completely different experiences. Built well, it steadies blood sugar, refills muscles, supports repair, and lets insulin rise, work, and leave. Built poorly, it creates a spike, a crash, a craving loop, and a long evening where fat stores stay locked. Same idea, very different biology. What you're about to understand is not another diet rule. It's the sequence your body is actually responding to. The fasting window, the stress signal, the meal order, the muscle storage, and the clean close afterward. Once you see that chain, the confusion starts to clear. You stop asking, why am I failing? And start asking, what signal did I send? Because your body is not broken. It may simply be obeying insulin instructions you didn't know you were giving. And the first clue is hidden in the way one meal can make your day feel calm and stable, or send you into a... So let's start with the moment that decides whether your one meal becomes control or chaos. You can eat only once and still feel like your body is begging for food all day. That's the part that feels unfair. You waited, you resisted, you finally ate your meal. Then somehow, a few hours later, your brain is searching the kitchen like a raccoon with Wi-Fi. Most people think one meal automatically means better control. Fewer meals, fewer calories, fewer chances to mess up. So when hunger, sleepiness, cravings, or brain fog show up later, it feels like failure. But your body may not be failing the plan. It may be reacting to the shape of the meal. The body doesn't look at a meal like a simple math problem. It watches how quickly glucose enters the blood, how high it rises, and how fast it has to be controlled. When a meal sends a fast wave of glucose into the bloodstream, the pancreas releases insulin quickly. That insulin helps move glucose out of the blood, but the drop afterward can feel like your energy just fell through a trapdoor. Think of glucose like water rushing into a house during a storm. Insulin is the emergency crew trying to pump that water out before it damages the floor. If the flood comes slowly, the crew handles it calmly. If it bursts through the front door all at once, everybody starts shouting. You might break your fast with a huge plate of rice, bread, dessert, and a sweet drink because you earned it. At first, you feel satisfied, maybe even a little rewarded. Then the glucose wave hits, insulin rises hard, and later your blood sugar can drift down faster than expected. That's when the fog rolls in. The couch starts looking magnetic, and cravings whisper like they've been waiting all day. The goal is not just to survive until one meal. The goal is to build that meal so it enters your system like a steady stream instead of a broken fire hydrant. Protein, fiber, slower carbohydrates, healthy fats, and enough minerals help slow the rush. That gives insulin a job it can finish without turning the rest of your day into a hormonal cleanup operation. Here's the deeper piece most people never hear. A craving after one meal doesn't always mean you lacked discipline or needed more willpower. Sometimes it means insulin did its job a little too aggressively because the glucose signal arrived too fast. Your brain then reads the falling energy as danger, even if your stomach already received plenty of food. So the first question is not, did I eat once? The better question is, because one meal can steady the day, or it can launch the spike, crash, and craving cycle. But the insulin story doesn't start when food enters your mouth. It starts with what your body was doing before the meal arrived. The hours before your meal are not empty hours. They are preparation hours. Your body is quietly setting the stage for how insulin will behave when food finally arrives. And this is where many people accidentally turn a powerful fasting window into a stress signal. The common belief is simple. No food means insulin gets better automatically. So you push through hunger, drink coffee after coffee, skip water, ignore poor sleep, and call it discipline. But by the time you reach the meal, you're not calm and metabolically ready. You're wired, shaky, irritated, and ready to eat like the refrigerator personally betrayed you. After many hours without food, insulin usually drops, and that can be a beautiful thing. Lower insulin tells fat cells the doors can begin to open, so stored energy becomes easier to access. But if stress climbs during that fast, cortisol can rise, and cortisol tells the liver to release glucose. Then glucose rises, insulin may respond, and suddenly your fasted body isn't as quiet as you thought. When everything is calm, it hums in the background and releases just enough fuel to keep the lights on. But when cortisol hits the alarm button, that generator starts roaring like there's a blackout. Now glucose floods the blood, and insulin has to step in before you've even taken your first bite. Maybe you wake up after 5 hours of sleep and decide to fast until dinner. You skip breakfast, then lunch, but you run on 3 large coffees and a nervous system stuck in 5th gear. By late afternoon, your hands feel cold, your patience is gone, and every bakery window looks spiritual. When the meal finally comes, your body isn't receiving food calmly. It's responding like supplies arrived during a crisis. A cleaner fasting window means giving the body fewer confusing signals. For healthy adults, that means no grazing, no sweet drinks, no creamers that quietly turn fasting into snacking, and no constant taste testing. Drink water. Consider minerals like a pinch of salt if you tolerate it. And don't use caffeine as a hunger bulldozer all day. If you have diabetes, take medication, are pregnant, nursing, or have a history of eating disorders, major fasting changes need professional guidance. This is the rare piece. Fasting is not just the absence of food. It's the presence of safety. When insulin is low and the nervous system is calm, the body can access stored fuel without panic. But when fasting becomes a stress contest, cortisol can ask the liver for emergency glucose. That can make the pancreas release insulin in a moment when you expected fat burning to be wide open. So before you judge your one meal, look at the runway leading into it. Did your body arrive low insulin and steady, or stressed, dehydrated, over-caffeinated, and ready to overreact? Because insulin can whisper when the fast is calm, or shout when the fast feels like danger. And once the body reaches the meal, the next question becomes whether that meal enters like a steady stream or hits the bloodstream like a flood. Here's where the one-meal strategy gets surprisingly powerful. You can eat the same foods in the same amount on the same plate. But if they enter your body in a different order, the insulin signal can change. That means the sequence of the meal can quietly shape the chemistry of your whole afternoon. Most people think insulin control means cutting entire food groups forever. No bread, no potatoes, no fruit, no dessert, no joy, just a lonely chicken breast staring back at them. So they either become overwhelmed by rules or they give up. But the body doesn't only care what you eat, it also cares what arrives first. When fast digesting carbohydrates enter first, they can break down quickly into glucose. That glucose moves into the bloodstream, blood sugar rises, and insulin has to respond with more urgency. But when protein, fiber, and some fat arrive first, digestion slows down. The stomach empties more gradually, glucose enters more slowly, and insulin doesn't need to hit the panic button. Think of your plate like a road leading into a busy city. Fast carbs, first, are like opening every highway lane during rush hour with no traffic lights. Protein and fiber, first, are the traffic officers, speed bumps, and roundabouts. The same cars may still arrive, but they don't all crash into the intersection at once. Imagine you sit down after a long fast and start with bread, fries, or something sweet because you're starving. Within minutes, that quick fuel begins moving fast, and your body prepares for a bigger glucose wave. Now compare that with starting with eggs, salmon, chicken, Greek yogurt, tofu, lentils, or a salad with olive oil. By the time starches arrive, your digestive system has already slowed the gate. A practical way to build the meal is simple. Start with protein first, then fiber-rich vegetables or legumes, then bring in starches or sweeter foods later. That could look like chicken and roasted vegetables before rice, eggs and greens before fruit, or tofu and beans before potatoes. You're not turning food into a moral test. You're turning the plate into a brake system. The deeper insight is that insulin is not only reacting to sugar, it is reacting to speed, context, and the body's need to protect the bloodstream from too much glucose at once. Your bloodstream only wants a small amount of glucose floating around at any given time. So when the meal is structured well, insulin can guide nutrients instead of chasing a surge. This is why food order can feel almost unfair in the best way. You may not need to fear every carbohydrate if the meal is built to slow the entry. But food order is only one side of the equation, because glucose still needs somewhere to go. And whether it gets stored, burned, or left circulating depends heavily on your muscles. This is the part most people completely miss. You can build the perfect one meal and still feel heavy afterward if your muscles have nowhere to put the fuel. The meal may be clean, balanced, and beautifully arranged, but if your body has been parked in a chair all day, glucose can arrive at a storage room that's already full. The common mistake is thinking insulin control happens only on the plate. So you focus on carbs, portions, timing, and ingredients while your muscles sit quiet for 10 straight hours. Then the meal arrives, blood sugar rises, and insulin has to do most of the work by itself. That's when one meal can still leave you sleepy, swollen, bloated, or strangely hungry later. Your muscles store glucose as glycogen, which is basically quick access energy for movement. When you walk, lift, climb stairs, clean the house, or simply use your body, those muscles spend some of that stored fuel. Now they become more ready to absorb glucose from the next meal. That means insulin doesn't have to shout as loudly, because the muscles are already opening the door. Think of your muscles like parking lots after a big event. If every space is full, incoming cars circle around, clog traffic, and create chaos. But if half the lot has emptied out, cars can pull in smoothly without a traffic jam. Movement clears the spaces, so glucose has somewhere useful to go. Picture someone who fasts all day at a desk. They choose salmon, vegetables, olive oil, maybe some potatoes, and technically it looks like a smart plate. But their muscles haven't been asked to do much since morning, so the incoming glucose has fewer open seats. The body may need a stronger insulin response, and that can feel like post-meal heaviness instead of steady energy. The fix doesn't require punishing workouts or turning dinner into a fitness exam. A brisk 10 to 20-minute walk before the meal can make the muscles more receptive. Then a gentle 10 to 15-minute walk after eating helps those contracting muscles pull glucose out of the blood. You should be able to breathe comfortably, talk in sentences, and feel like you're draining energy, not attacking yourself. The deeper insight is that muscle contraction has its own glucose doorway. Insulin is one doorway, but movement creates a second signal that helps glucose enter muscle cells more efficiently. That means walking after a meal doesn't just burn a few calories, it changes where the meal goes. It turns your muscles into a sponge, soaking up fuel before it lingers in the bloodstream. So the one meal is not acting alone. It is landing inside a body that is either ready to receive it or forced to manage it under pressure. When your muscles have used energy, insulin can rise, guide nutrients, and calm down faster. But there is one final mistake that can undo the whole day. Building the one meal like a reward instead of a signal. The final trap is believing insulin is the villain. That idea sounds clean and simple, but biology is rarely that lazy. Insulin is not there to ruin your progress. It's there to move energy out of the bloodstream before that energy becomes a problem. The mistake happens when the one meal becomes a trophy for surviving the fast. You waited all day, so the plate turns into a celebration, then a negotiation, then a snack parade. A little extra here, a few bites there, something sweet, because you barely ate today. And suddenly, one meal has quietly become a long insulin drip stretched across the evening. When you eat, insulin should rise. That rise helps amino acids enter muscle, helps glucose refill storage, and helps nutrients move where they belong. The problem is when insulin rises too high, stays elevated too long, or keeps coming back through grazing. Then fat cells stay locked, stored energy remains harder to access, and the day never fully shifts back into low insulin mode. Think of insulin like a delivery supervisor at a warehouse. When one organized truck arrives, the supervisor unloads it, stores the goods, and clocks out. But when trucks keep showing up every 20 minutes, nobody cleans, nobody rests, and the lights stay on all night. Your body was built for clear signals, not endless tiny deliveries. You might finish a strong meal with steak, vegetables, olive oil, and potatoes. Then you wander back for nuts, then a few spoonfuls of yogurt, then dark chocolate, then just one cracker. None of those foods may look dramatic by themselves, but each little return can remind insulin to stay on duty instead of letting the system settle. Build the meal in layers, not chaos. Start with protein like eggs, salmon, chicken, Greek yogurt, lean beef. That return is the doorway that allows stored energy to become available again later. So the one meal is not a punishment, a prize, or a loophole. It is a message your body reads for hours after the fork goes down. When the fasting window is calm, the meal is structured, the muscles are ready, and the window closes cleanly. Insulin can finally do its job and leave. And once you understand that, insulin stops looking like a villain and starts looking like a timing signal you can guide. The real lesson is not that one meal is magic. It's that one meal becomes powerful only when the signal around it makes sense. Your body is always listening to timing, stress, movement, food order, and fuel speed, and insulin is one of the main ways it answers back. If your energy has felt unpredictable, that doesn't mean you're weak. If cravings show up after eating, that doesn't mean your body is broken. And if one meal has left you tired instead of steady, that doesn't mean the idea failed. It may mean the meal sent a signal your metabolism had to defend against, because your body does not respond to effort the way a calculator responds to numbers. It responds to biology. A fast filled with stress can raise cortisol, ask the liver for glucose, and make insulin more reactive. A meal built too fast can send glucose rushing in before your system is ready. But once you understand the chain, you get your power back. You can calm the fasting window instead of turning it into a survival contest. You can start the meal with protein and fiber so glucose enters more slowly. You can use your muscles before and after eating so the fuel has somewhere useful to go. And maybe most importantly, you can stop fearing insulin. Insulin is not your enemy. It is a timing signal. You want it to rise when nutrients arrive, guide fuel into cells, support repair, and then step aside. The trouble begins when the signal stays loud long after the meal should be over. So tonight, or tomorrow, don't try to change everything at once. Test one signal. Close the fasting window cleanly, take a short walk, build your plate in layers, or stop the little extras after the meal. Then pay attention to how your hunger, energy, focus, and sleep respond. Which signal do you think your body has been receiving every day? A calm signal, a stress signal, a glucose flood, or a steady stream? Have you been fighting your body when what it really needed was a different message? If this helped you understand your body in a way that finally makes sense, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, because the next lessons will keep connecting these hidden biological patterns. The more clearly you understand the signal, the more wisely you can change it. Your body is not broken. It is listening, adapting, and waiting for a better instruction. If you feel like your body is constantly stuck in alert mode, with poor sleep, fatigue, untimely hunger, and stubborn abdominal fat, I've prepared the complete cortisol reset bundle. Inside, you'll receive the main guide, the cortisol reset, plus 2 bonuses, low nighttime cortisol protocol and cortisol, insulin, and abdominal fat. The link is in the description.